Warning, this content may be disturbing to some audiences. Subscribe, if you dare.
Before I had a chance to say anything, the teacher says, "Look at him, he needs to maintain his figure somehow." Hey everybody, welcome to ANECDOSED. People ask Reddit. What's the rudest/meanest thing a teacher has ever done to you?
Number 1.
In the 6th grade, my science teacher mistakenly thought I was chewing gum. She had a strict no gum policy for her classroom. She proceeds to yell at me and demand that I come to the front of the classroom to show her the inside of my mouth to check for the gum. On my way up, she hatefully spits, "And I hope you swallow it too because it's bad for you." I'm pretty sure she was the devil.
Number 2.
Commenter. When showing my 5th grade teacher my painting from art class, he said, "Why, you're not very good at art, are you?" Not as scarring as the other stories, but it made me self-conscious of my art skills, or lack thereof. Person B. Art teachers are the worst. It's like they live to kill creativity. Person C. Those who can't do teach.
Number 3.
Commenter. I have an anxiety disorder, dysgraphia, which makes foreign languages a bitch, and had terrible chronic migraines when I was younger, 2 to 3 plus a week, so I missed a lot of school and pretty much just got C's in an effort to just not get held back. I even did have to do summer school once though. My Spanish teacher knew about this but didn't really believe me, so one day she stood me up and grilled me. After flubbing through and barely getting anything right, she asked me in front of everyone, "Why aren't you getting this? Everyone else understands this. What on earth is wrong with you?" I just told her I guess I'm stupid and left. Luckily I grew out of the migraines, mostly, and graduated college with honors, and I am now a second-year medical student. So if you miss Cozell. Person B. Having dysgraphia, man, I know your pain. Person C. In 9th and 10th grades, my short gym coach would constantly harass me. He made fun of me almost every day, and encouraged others to make fun of me. Also, he graded me lower than others, split the class up in boy/girl teams, and made me play on the girls' team. Another coach forced me to jog repeatedly without my asthma inhaler. Lots of fun stuff. That was just the coaches though. Had a few jerk teachers too.
Number 4.
Commenter. 9th grade algebra class. I was pretty fat back in high school, and I had this bitch of a teacher. I forget why, maybe it was because I was fat, but I had a bag of candy in one of the pouches of my backpack, which broke open. When I opened the pocket to get a calculator out, like a half-dozen candies fell on the floor. The girl next to me says, "Why do you have so much candy?" Before I had a chance to say anything, the teacher says, "Look at him, he needs to maintain his figure somehow." Person B. That's kind of like my teacher, except he knew we were intelligent, so he called the smartest students dumb, and winked while doing it. However, he never went with the fat jokes. And we knew we could make every joke against him, and he'd laugh, except fat jokes. Never use fat jokes. Seriously. But yeah, your teacher is terrible, especially because he or she was a bitch beforehand as well.
Number 5.
Commenter. My friend was told by his 7th grade teacher that his autistic son could draw better than him. My friend replied, "At least I'll get better." My friend got suspended. Person B. What kind of parent uses their child's condition as the basis for an insult? Person C. Agreed. The teacher should have seen it coming and shouldn't have even brought her son into this. Furthermore, depending on where on the spectrum this kid falls, he could be a very talented artist. So unless you know the kid personally, it's not necessarily an insult. I know a few people with autism that are much better artists than I am.
Number 6.
Commenter. This didn't actually happen to me, but it was still pretty messed up. In 2nd grade there was a kid in my class named Eric. He was the fat kid in our grade, and in 2nd grade, he obviously got teased a lot for it. One of our teachers was an old grouchy lady, and she used to hate this kid for being fat. I remember her telling him to sit in the back of the class because he was too fat to sit in front and nobody behind him would be able to see. She used to call him Fat Eric all the time. She wouldn't let him answer questions and would tell him not to raise his hand. One day she actually hit him pretty hard in the back with a yardstick when he tried to walk past her. The next day she was fired. Person B. That is cruel and effing up. If I would have witnessed that, I would have told the people in the office or something. Commenter. Yeah, looking back on it, it was pretty bad. It's pretty much the only memory that stuck with me from 2nd grade. At that age though, the teacher was an authority figure and I didn't even think to report it. I told my parents when I got home, and I assume a lot of other kids did too because she was gone the next day.
Number 7.
Commenter. In grades 1 and 2, I had a pretty rocky relationship with my teacher that started off on the first day when the principal walked in, and I went up to him, told him his fortune with an origami, and from then on, the teacher was dead set on making the next 2 years as miserable as possible for me. One day, I was not feeling so well and my mother had made me a tuna sandwich, and after seeing it during lunch, I didn't feel like eating it, so I put it back in my lunch bag. The teacher saw this and told me to eat it. I told her I was feeling sick. She refused to take no for an answer despite my pleas, while just responding with, "No excuses." Every bite was so difficult to take, and it lasted over the entire lunchtime and until the math period, where I tried putting it away until a kid snitched on me that I did that. Another time, she refused to let me go to the bathroom until I was physically shaking at my desk. Person B. Wow, that's effing cruel. I often wonder if any of these teachers look back at themselves and think, damn, I was nasty as shit to those kids. And the denial of bathroom would have earned a lawsuit in this day and age. Commenter. This happened in 1996 and I believe she said no because I didn't ask in the most polite manner I could have, although I wasn't being rude or anything. She probably thought I'd end up as a drug-addicted loser, but I ended up skipping a grade when I was 11 and received my engineering degree at age 21. If I see her on the streets, I'll probably let her know that she is an absolutely wretched and rotten person. Person C. My 3rd grade teacher told me no when I asked to use the bathroom after saying it was an emergency. I asked politely and didn't interrupt her or anything. I had already finished the assignment, and I was about to piss myself. I told her, "Go F yourself," and went anyways. She was always very rude to everyone, including other teachers and staff. Made a janitor cry because there was a very small amount of marker on the board in a corner. A wretched old bat she was. My parents were called and everything, and my dad told the principal to F off for wasting his time. And my mom told the teacher to stop being such a cunt. My mom had the same teacher when she was a little girl, believe it or not. I never asked to go to the bathroom after that. I just go.
Number 8.
Commenter. This is nothing my teacher said, but what she did. When I was in 1st grade, she locked me in a reading room in the library and left me there all day. My mother came to pick me up and couldn't find me. The teacher had forgotten about me completely. The local police were looking everywhere for me. I ended up locked in that room for the entire day, from about 9 in the morning to close to 5 in the afternoon. I was a rather troublesome child, but seriously. Lock me in a room all day? Person B. Jesus, around here, that teacher would have probably got a lot of shit from management, if not a dismissal. Duty of care and all that. Commenter. Yeah, if my mom had followed through with anything she may have, but my mom just pulled me out of that school and forgot about it, I guess. Twist ending. My head football coach in high school was her husband. He apologized to me for her and kinda gave me special treatment.
Number 9.
This is hard to talk about. When I was in 5th and 6th grade, I was bullied constantly by a lot of kids in my classes/grade. The teachers were never any help. They ignored it or sided with the bullies because, well, I think they just found it to be easier. In 5th grade, my teacher had a complaint book where the students could write in things they didn't like about the class or any issues they might be having with another student, and then we would discuss the contents every couple of weeks. Some girls who were particularly mean to me wrote in the book every day made up things that I had said or did, or just general insults about my appearance or the things I was interested in. When it came time for the class meeting, my teaching had the whole class discuss the terrible things in the book about me. They were the popular girls, so they had a lot of sway in 5th grade land, so the whole class just proceeded to list off the things they didn't like about me, and my teacher went around one by one giving them all a turn to insult and humiliate, all while shaking her head as if she was consensus. And when I would try to defend myself, she would scold me about how interrupting was rude, and maybe if I took in their advice I would have an easier time. Made me cry just writing that damn.
Number 10.
Commenter. In 3rd grade, I was in an ESL class. I didn't speak English. On the first day of school, the teacher pointed at me and told me to do something. I did not understand a word she said, Spanish being my native language. She screamed at me for a while, and I cried because I didn't understand her. She was not sympathetic at all, and kept screaming at me. Finally, one of my classmates told me in Spanish what it was that she wanted. To take a paper up to the front office for her. Person B. Harsh much? Teachers. I had a teacher who would tell me to do something, and I'd be completely zoned out. I was really daydreamy and very sensitive at that time. She would walk over to my desk and slam her fists down on my desk and scream at me. Told me I would fail and amount to nothing every day. I always teared up at this and shrunk down in my seat, but one day it was truly awful. I had missed a few days of school and came back to a test I knew nothing about. She made me take it anyway. I failed, I think, and she yelled at me for not coming to get the work I missed while I was out. I lost it and started straight out bawling until I was nearly sick, and I never went back to her class. The teacher I was transferred to was my mom's childhood best friend.
Number 11.
Commenter. When I was in elementary school there was a kid in my class whose mother was teaching at the school. She was never assigned to the same class as him. I suspect this was done on purpose, but that didn't stop her from playing favorites. One recess, her son threw sand in my eyes. I was walking around rubbing my eyes and the teacher saw me and asked what happened. When I told her, she said, "Don't be a tattletale," and walked away. If I hadn't been 10 years old at the time I would have told her to go F herself. Person B. My grandpa was a vice principal and social science teacher and he refused to send my dad and aunts to the schools he taught at to avoid any sort of nepotism claims. Also I think he wanted a break from them.
Number 12.
Commenter. When I was in 3rd grade, we had a substitute teacher. I got it in my 3rd grade head that it would be funny to just be a little asshole all day. I guess I got her on the wrong day, because after a few hours of 3rd grader asshole antics the shit hit the fan. She was reading a book aloud behind me as I was still goofing off and talking to my friends loudly. I realized I was in the wrong as well, but what she did next was by far worse. She slammed the large book closed and screamed, "Shut your mouth," as she swung the book at the side of my head from behind me. She knocked me out of the chair and on the floor and continued to scream and yell profanity at the top of her lungs. I was given a pink slip, written note to your parents, and sent home by the sub. I explained what actually happened, with a little bit left out about my classroom disrespect, and goddammit did my mother raise hell. After a call to my father she decided her original idea to simply kill the sub for that day was not so good. She did however take me back to school and continued to pull the principal from a meeting. I was then sent back to class and when I returned the substitute was not there. The teacher from next door had taken over the class. I later found out that the substitute teacher was fired almost immediately after verifying with the students that saw it and my mother yelling, with the principal. Person B. Makes sense, 8-year-olds can be little shits, but you don't get to beat them for it. Make sure to share your personal story in the comments below and have the opportunity to be featured in a future video. Also, if you like these topics don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification button to continue seeing more content like this every day. See you next time.